Righty-roo. I think we've got actually plenty of people here. So let's go ahead.
Hi Gage and hi Nutshell, hi Box.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, Nutshell. Hi, Box. Hi, Gagent. Hi, Mate again. Hi, Box again. Hi, Mate again. Hi, Lizard again. Hi, everybody. So, just to show off where we're at, we are now 31-year-old Lobstrock Ben Parker. We have retained 77% of our humanity. We are nationally famous and broke. We're currently not romancing anybody. Panopticopter Wrecks is doing pretty okay, particularly in the empathy department, because you nerds always make Panopticopter Wrecks... You nerds always make the robot super cute, so... I think we currently are roommates with Ellie, and because we opened a business that, fucking fell apart because of the choices that were made. You can thank, Boots and Frank for that.
Wow, and not made?
No, Made you should thank genuinely, because, that would punish him more.
That's true. Oh,
So right now, we've been called in, so, this is after the war has broken out, and I believe, we got an invite from the, National Defense people, or whatever. And in a sort of, and one thing that we did do right at the end was, as a sort of fuck you to them, we invited the rabble-rousing communist journalist, Mark, to come with us, so that he could get inside and, get all kinds of direct reporting about, well, you know, the military-industrial complex and how it's awful. So, I suppose, let's go for it. Mark laughs when you propose the plan over the phone. You were Mark.
oh, can you share it with me? Your screen? That
Sorry,
makes it
I
easier
forgot.
to read. Yeah, no, I forgot too, until I was like, oh, I have to read this, and the text is very, actually tiny. If I want to set this up right. I'm right. I'm Mark. Okay. How exactly are you going to explain
That's not what Mark sounds like.
Wait, oh no, wait, is Mark the reporter?
Mark's the reporter.
Oh, right, okay. How exactly are you going to explain my presence?
You're my public relations consultant, I say. I don't think they're gonna do full background checks for something like this.
You're really something, kid.
Mark says. You're hardly a kid at this point.
Alright, I appreciate the favor. I'll be there.
A missile several stories tall and flanked by equally large American flags dominates the lobby of the Berkeley Federal Research Center. A small plaque at its base explains that it was developed at the Lab for Ballistic Missile Defense, meaning it would be used only to shoot down other missiles. Mark lets out a snort of derision when he reads it. An African-American woman in an airman's uniform catches your eye from beyond the turnstiles labeled "Cleared Personnel Only." She allows a man in a pinstripe suit to swipe his badge and pass the turnstile himself. You sense that this is not out of this is out of a sense of politeness and not deference. There's a steady purposefulness to her step as she crosses the lobby. Pleased to meet you, she says, offering her hand. I'm Major Juliet Rogers of the Air Force Acquisitions. I know your advisor, Professor Ziegler. Professor Ziegler's here? You ask, surprised. You're just in time for the demonstration, Major Rogers says. Right this way. Major Rogers guides you and Mark to an auditorium where the audience is a mix of the button-down shirt crowd, the engineers, you think, and the men and women wearing camo uniforms. It is indeed Professor Ziegler giving the keynote, standing at a podium flanked by American flags. His PowerPoint presentation currently shows a soldier's hand shaking a robot hand. You were Ziegler too, I believe.
Oh, that was early, but I am. Oh God, what did he sound like? Insufferable, I know.
Mm-hmm. And he's giving his speech delivery.
For a long time, robot autonomy on the battlefield. No, you don't like it? You don't like it?
It was not that. It was a lot more normal.
You don't like slightly drunk Grover?
I mean, I do, but not for this.
I don't remember.
Maid's right. He was insufferable and academic.
Well, I think what I was doing was insufferable academic, but fine. Maybe it was a little more. For a long time, robot autonomy on the battlefield was extremely limited, even as the use of drones increased. Larger and larger teams of warfighters were pulled away from their duties to fully control these drones. Only now is a fully autonomous robotic warfighter possible. I present to you Panopticopter Wrecks V!
You're somewhat horrified to see a copy of Panopticopter Wrecks roll onto the stage, to the applause of the crowd. It's not even a recent copy. Panopticopter Wrecks 5 is exactly as Panopticopter Wrecks was when you got kicked out of grad school. Mark gives you an expectant look, clearly hoping you're going to make a scene. Major Rogers also appears to be studying your expression. Do we stand up and declare Professor Ziegler a fraud, or ask a pointed question about the current state of the art that implies Professor Ziegler does not know what the hell he's doing, or stay silent?
I think that the character we've made is more likely to ask the pointed question.
Well...
I will make him look a fool.
Alright, well, box says 2. Yeah, no, it is not Panopticopter Wrecks' masked hero persona. Box agrees with Frank. Lizard says 2 also. Sounds like we're going with 2, but I welcome others. I welcome others to the chat. If they wish to contribute their ideas.
This is, of course, the best path to truth is by having as many people contribute ideas in an open and earnest conversation.
Yes. And quite.
Indeed.
Thanks, maid. Alright, we're gonna go with 2. You wait for your moment when Ziegler begins describing the technical details of how Panopticopter Wrecks 5 flies and raise your hand. Yeah, you.
My old student, Lobstrock. You're about 5 years late for class. I ruined the voice again.
The audience chuckles at this. You press on. Wasn't the kind of PID controller you're describing basically going out of style already 5 years ago? Would the more natural energy minimizing motion in the style of human motion both look it better and be more efficient? Though you're quite certain the correct answer is Yes, I'm a fool who hasn't really read a scientific paper with attention in years. Professor Ziegler is unfortunately very used to academic combat.
I think you'll find that in this particular situation, the PID controller is superior.
He says coolly.
Seek King 2010, Bennett 1986, and Yang 2015.
You're about to object that it is a non sequitur to cite old papers in response to an accusation that his work is out of date. He preempts you with...
And I'll take further questions about this offline.
The audience is looking at you like you're the crazy one, and you realize that they really have no way of judging the scientific merit of what the two of you are saying. They're just trying to read the story being played out, which looks to them like crazy person in the audience won't shut up. Frustrated, you sit out the rest of the talk, having achieved little besides annoying Professor Ziegler. Well, it's a good thing you guys came back to show Boots, Maid, and Frank how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
When the talk adjourns, Major Rogers pulls you and Mark aside and into a small conference room with an elaborate lock. With practiced ease, she hits a small button as she closes the door, and the room is bathed in green light. A signal that you are about to say to each other what should be... a signal that what you are about to say to each other should be unclassified. Mark seems happy to have made it into this private meeting, but Major Rogers then frowns at him, grabs him by the arm,
Hey!
he protests, and shoves him out the door, locking it again.
I'm reporting here!
You can see the predicament we're in, Major Rogers says. It's apparent to me, anyway, that the robots we're about to deploy on the battlefield that use Professor Ziegler's technology are inferior to your own robots. While somehow, probably through cyber espionage, the Chinese have stolen your designs and are using the technology against us. So, I'm begging you to help us, Major Rogers says. This war is only just beginning. I argued against adopting Professor Ziegler's robots, but he plays the salesman better than I play the prosecutor. My superiors say that unless I have a viable alternative, sending robots into battle is always politically preferable to sending real people, and we'll send his robots. And if we do... Major Rogers shakes her head. I don't think it will go well for us. You think you can hear the clacking of keys on Mark's Chromebook outside the door. So, come work for the lab, Major Rogers says. If you've ever wanted to be the Feynman or Einstein of your generation, saving the country and winning the war, this is your chance. We'll give you all the resources you need to be a truly great scientist. What's the catch? Aren't you being awfully trusting? What if I betray you? No way. This is not something I want to be involved in.
You've been so staunchly getting involved. Except for all the times when we got involved. But not intentionally. But also, I feel like we would... I don't know that we'd say yes. But we probably would ask clarifying questions. I think I'm working myself around to 1. But yeah, 2 is also good.
Hello, it is I, Lobstrock. What would I say?
Probably 2. Yeah, hi Lobstrock.
Hello.
I find your laugh charming. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we got 2 for 2. Going once. Going twice. Pausing for delay. 2. Well, you'll also need to get clearance, she says. They'll vet you pretty thoroughly. Believe me, it's not about trust on blind faith around here. There's a muffled sound from the door. You're pretty sure Mark has his ear to it. Major Rogers awaits your answer. I accept! I will be your secret research scientist! My robots will help in the war effort, but only in non-violent ways! this has been interesting, but I prefer not to get involved with the military. Sorry.
2 is just the right mixture of naivete. But still, like...
Are we particularly naive?
I don't know. Kind of.
We've always been kind of, I will remind you, we cited capitalist hubris as the downfall of man in our first interaction with Mark.
That's true.
We proved ourselves to be strangely socially competent in a way that only someone who has read textbooks strictly and never talked to another person could be.
It's definitely not 1. Like,
oh, Box would say, and Box has a good point. Remember the folly of Otacon. I designed Panopticopter Wrecks 6 for not to destroy. Panopticopter Wrecks 6 wasn't meant for war. Emmy, what are you doing? Oh no! Emma?
I guess 3. Let's just let the US burn.
Box thinks Lobstrock isn't cool enough to make Otacon's mistake and would go with 3 because they're trying to be cool. The folly of Otacon was mostly trusting that his scientific war death machines would not be used for scientific war death.
I put a big railgun capable of launching a nuclear bomb on the back so they could shoot, supplies really far to starving people.
Somehow they managed to find. Somehow they found the hole in my. Somehow they found a way to somehow adapt this giant metal monstrosity into something that could launch a nuke. How did they do it? And why?
They built a giant walking robot with 20 guns and a thing on the back that can launch things from one country to another. I don't know how they found the military application of it. How? They're so deviant.
He is a folly with it. I mean, there is a different folly with his sister. But I wouldn't necessarily call that Otacon's folly so much as I would call it the Emmerich folly. That is a fucked up family. Alright. Major Rogers lets out a slow breath. I suppose I expected nothing different from your profile, but it was worth a try. I'll escort you out. She turns and opens the door swiftly, and Mark nearly tumbles into the room. Major Rogers gives you both a dubious look. What? Oh.
Hi.
Mark says. He points to the glowing green sign.
Classified.
Out, Major Rogers says. Mark ends up writing a piece called Inside the Belly of the Beast, about his time at the research lab, which, when it comes right down to it, is mostly an accusation that the Defense Department has no skill at interior decoration. You suppose he's happy he gets to pay his bills, but he was probably hoping for more. A year into the war, China attacks Taiwan. Chinese drones harry the nearby American carriers, keeping American bombers and fighters at bay while their transports bring wave upon wave of robot warriors to the shores. There is a bloodbath in the streets, which the United States is powerless to prevent. The Chinese robots kill soldiers and civilians alike. Taiwan is taken, and the headlines that appear across the world the next day are changed by Chinese hackers to read, China finally united. This was 2009, remember? A few days after the battle for Taiwan, Tammy shows up at your doorstep. You didn't know she knew your address. She beckons you to follow and leads you to a leafy hedge in the shadow of the neighbor's house, and then crouches awkwardly scanning the sky. What's this about, you ask? I think you took Tammy.
Did I? I can. I need
Kinda
your
crazy.
help. I need your help.
Tammy says.
I heard from some old friends who worked at my lab that people are being put in concentration camps just because some algorithm says they have a high probability of being disloyal.
Tammy clutches your arm.
Don't let them disappear me.
Well, what do you want me to do exactly, you ask uneasily.
I just need to alter my entry in the database so I look clean.
Tammy says.
I still know how to get on the network. They just changed the password.
Okay, that sounds accurate.
Yeah. If you're willing to let me use Panopticopter Wrecks' processing power, I can make it look like it was a Chinese hacking attempt. Yeah. Why would we disable logins? That's so much work. We'll just change everyone's password we don't want to have access.
Yeah, no, that's absolute. That is actually, that is one of the things that is not aged.
Yeah. Never will.
Okay, so here's one. Alright, but I want to be there as you do this. 2, I'm going to forget we had this conversation. What happens next is up to you. Or, I'm afraid I can't help you, and then later I turn Tammy into the authorities.
I think 1. Not because we care about Tammy, but because this is wrong, and it's a non-violent way we could make a difference.
That is true. It would fit in with the with our morality, which is strictly determined by a flowchart. So
yeah. I mean, my ideal answer would be like, okay, but you can't be there, and also I'm not doing this for you, and I wish you would leave me alone. But that's not one of the options.
Well, yeah, you're not Lobstrock Ben Parker.
That's true. I'm not Lobstrock Ben Parker.
Let's let the ska decide. As Maid pointed out, royalty-free choice of ska. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Waiting for the delay. 1. You and Tammy go with Panopticopter Wrecks. So that's after the 1. Thanks, Maid. You and Tammy go with Panopticopter Wrecks to an upscale hotel with good Wi-Fi for an evening. Tammy proceeds to use network vulnerabilities to take over all the other guests' tablet computers and Wi-Fi connected smartphones, then bootstraps from those machines to take over several corporate and home network routers. You.
Oh, that is me. That should give us enough IP addresses to work with on our end.
Tammy says. She then pulls out an old crumpled piece of paper with more network addresses on it.
Let's see how many of these things still work.
You're impressed. Within about a half hour, Panopticopter Wrecks is controlling many hacked machines in parallel to attack a government network while making it look like a Chinese cyber attack. All from the comfort of a hotel with one of those nice long cylindrical pillows on the bed that you can lean back on. Panopticopter Wrecks seems intensely focused on the act of coordinating the various threads attempting to hack the system. Seems to be an interesting challenge for Rim. +2 grace. I suppose this is the sort of thing you did for the government, you say to Tammy, but I thought you did robotics.
Yeah, but it wasn't our robotics I was controlling.
Tammy says absently. Finally, Panopticopter Wrecks says, "Success, Lobstrock! The server is talking back to me!"
Good! Route it to my computer.
Tammy scans her laptop, and gradually, her face falls.
Oh, what have I done?
Well, what is it, you say?
Threat level low!
Tammy murmurs through her fingers.
Threat level low. You never cared about what I did at all until now.
Well, don't delay. Hang up and let's get out of here. Well, as long as we're in, can we look up at some other people's database entries? I quietly slip out of the door with Panopticopter Wrecks, leaving Tammy to get caught.
2? Excuse me.
So the music can't can't help you with your decision? Is that what you're saying? Lobstrock is not so much a scaredy cat as he is just completely inept with people. He's very much, why would I go to prom when there are plenty of old computers that I can pop cards into and see if they still work. Oh, okay, and the music does inform Maid. Alright. Tammy considers you for a moment.
Great idea.
She says, pointing a finger at you.
Have fun.
Tammy hurries out the door. Well, Tammy is probably expecting you to be tackled by intelligence agents at any moment. That doesn't mean you can't take advantage of the opportunity, so long as you don't dally too long. You take Tammy's laptop in hand. There's no personal stuff anywhere on the desktop. You realize it must be a throwaway machine procured specifically for this purpose. You open the terminal window where Tammy was doing the hacking. You're somewhat surprised to find that the database is really quite extensive. Not only the call records, but the actual calls and emails are stored for everyone in the country. Looking at a random record, you also see that each dossier shows a probability of being a criminal called a Ziegler Index.
What?
You suppose your old advisor never could pass up an opportunity for self-promotion, even in a top-secret context.
That makes so much more sense than what my brain jumped to, which was how likely they are to be a criminal. Like
whose file do you look up? Professor Ziegler, President Irons, Ellie, Mark, Josh, Tammy, or will see what they know about me? I'm done playing with fire for now.
I don't want to know about me. But I also kind of want to know about the president and the professor.
What does Lobstrock want? Oh dear. Oh my. Oh, I know some of these names. In fact, I know all of them because I looked them up. Jeepers. I hope my friends are okay. And I hope and I hope Josh isn't. I hate that guy.
Ziegler does super suck. And he just fucked with us.
Are we going to be able to, but the question is, are we going to be able to change anything for the worse, or if we're only going to be able to what will we have time to do?
Yeah, it's between the professor and us. I can't, I'm not sure. Tricky. I think I'm leaning us.
Well, Maid, you're clearly doing choice of music. We should be doing Lobstrock, though, in my opinion, but I can't control all of you.
Yeah, just me.
That's right. Now start fucking role-playing, or else.
Yes, dear. I'll do the role-playing, dear.
And because we don't know most of the people... Since it's been a long time since we've run into some of our older friends, I will remind everybody. Professor Ziegler, we've seen, he sucks. President Irons is the president. Ellie is our graphic design aesthetician friend, who is herself half Chinese. Mark is our hitherto unfollowed up on kind of romance interest, who is a rabble-rouser writing lefty articles for a left coast publication. Josh is the guy who has outbid us at every corner in order to make our lives miserable while we fail to do business, because he's just a gross business tech bro guy. Tammy is the lady who's kind of crazy
still our friend,
and just runs out. We are a nerdy dumpster dump who have done nothing but try to open a factory in Detroit to have it shut down. And done playing with fire now is our cat's name. I'm just kidding about that, mate. It's not the cat's name.
Man, maybe Mark too. I didn't really think about Mark, but
Yeah, no. Honestly, of this list, the most likely targets are Ellie and Mark.
That's true. Yeah, I
Ellie
think Mark.
for good old-fashioned racism. And Mark for, well, you know, writing unflattering things about the government in a time of war.
I think if we get to do more, which I don't know if we will, it would be between us and Ellie. For second, but I think Mark might be first.
Yeah, to be clear, mate, we're not looking for information on these people. We're trying to see what like threat level they have been considered by an index made by Professor Ziegler. I can almost guarantee that the Ziegler index is set up to make sure that anybody by the name of Professor Ziegler looks like an exemplary citizen.
Hate that guy. I did figure we'd learn something about him, like all of his emails and phone numbers or something, but yeah.
Possible. But, like, who can say?
I still feel strongly about us too. But Mark. It's Mark.
Frank says Mark. What do you, the viewers at home, think? And for what it's worth, I think that our nerdy little a flowchart morality dweeboid would probably be like, my friends. Gosh, like my good friend Josh.
Yeah, he does still consider Josh his friend. That's what's like. It's wild. It's really
in the very least, it's somebody that he knows.
Yeah. But just my friend. If I know somebody, they're my friend.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't go looking into the president's files. Oh. Jeepers. Mate says, I think Mate is saying Ellie. Which puts us at a tie. Box! Bet you're, ooh, I'm working now, Box will say. Whatever.
You know, it's not working for me. Your lack of a vote. I suppose I got
it. First, let me see if the dice even make themselves eligible for this vote. Sorry, if it had been left to the dice, the dice would have picked Josh. But it's not up to the dice. At least not that one. It's not up to that die. And it sounds like I'm not getting any more votes, so Ellie or Josh? Ellie is even, Josh is odd. Ah, well, dropped it, but... Odd! It's 3. So we'll start with Mark. Mark has a particularly high probability of being a spy, according to Ziegler's algorithm. When you listen to the communications that are lending the largest weights to the algorithm's decision, they're all interviews with terrorists.
Oh, this is Mark talking.
Mm-hmm.
When did you first know that you were the government's enemy?
I've known it as long as I was alive.
Really? At 4, 3, 2? You said to yourself, man, where can I find me a semi-automatic weapon?
That's typical of Mark's style in those interviews. He's just generally cynical, not anti-American specifically. The algorithm doesn't pay attention to the actual content of the communication. Whose file will you look up?
Ellie?
What strikes you first in looking up Ellie's call graph is that her spy probability is quite high. If this algorithm is used for anything at all, she's likely to be interrogated and possibly arrested. You see that most of the probability comes from her mother. Looking at her mother's files, you see she was in fact a known spy with extensive connections back to known spies in China. Moreover, Ellie is not actually a US citizen according to the database. She is listed as a Chinese foreign national. You wonder why she never told you. You thought she was American. A list of random facts pointing to Ellie being anti-American follows. She has checked out Mao's little red book from the library. She has done a web search for neo-communism, and so on. None of it seems particularly incriminating to you. In fact, it all seems somewhat taken out of context. You don't particularly feel like listening in on any of Ellie's specific recorded communications. You get nervous. You probably shouldn't spend too long playing around with these files. Their access might be monitored. Whose files we could look up?
I mean, it's either ours or I'm done. I don't know which, though.
Actually, the game raises a good point. Their access might be monitored. At this point, there's nothing connecting our name to anything that's happened.
That's true.
And this algorithm seems to be pretty, rudimentary.
Are you telling me that a Ziegler original would be made lazily? But yeah, maybe that is true. Maybe we're best off stopping. Oh, the
What do you think,
stopping is good.
Maid? Without that dastardly Boots here to influence you, perhaps you'll make the right choice.
Oh, I hate that guy.
Perhaps you'll do the right thing.
Doopy-doop-bop.
Maid, did you leave? Nutshell, are you there? Box, are you gone? Agent? Lizard? All of you who showed up at the beginning to be said hi to and then disappeared? Huh. Some friends. Well, Frank, I guess you're deciding.
Guess so. Then I guess it's probably I'm done playing with fire now.
Oh, hi, Nutshell. You decide it's time to get out of here before you're caught. You slam the laptop shut and hurry out of the room with Panopticopter Wrecks. You expect Tammy will be lying low for a while. You wonder whether you'll ever see her again. Some days after that, you have a visitor at your apartment, a man in a suit who shows you an FBI badge. You.
Oh, sorry to bother you. I'd like to ask you some questions about your friend, Ellie.
Panopticopter Rex flies up beside you. What's going on, Lobstrock?
Are you aware that Ellie is a Chinese citizen?
Asks the man in a suit. Well, you're mistaken. Ellie is an American. I know. No, I was not aware of that.
I think I know. As a matter of fact, I did.
Frank suggests I know. And Nutshell is sleepy. So, I think until I start seeing other people talking, I'm gonna have to go with Frank's input.
Maid's in the bathroom.
Probably. Ch. The regent raises his eyebrow at this.
Has Ellie ever asked you about or shown an interest in the technical details of the robots you create?
Oh yes, often. Only once in grad school, or no, she's never shown much interest.
Only once in grad school is kind of true. Oh, Maid's here.
Hi, Maid! The agent rolls his eyes as if to say, I'm so sure. What is this about? You finally ask, losing your patience.
It is illegal to export certain technologies by sharing them with foreign nationals. Because Professor Ziegler has incorporated your AI algorithms into United States classified military technology, that puts your technology on the restricted export list.
But I didn't share any information with her.
Doesn't matter. Your technology is military grade and we must take every precaution. So if you could do a favor for us, text Ellie and tell her to come here.
Well, then what happens, you ask?
That is not your concern.
I have a question for you first, sir. Are you the good guys or just some guys? Text Major Rogers and ask her to intervene. Text Ellie and tell her to come here as the agent is requesting. Text Ellie telling her that the feds are after her. Refuse to cooperate until the agent leaves, or I tell Panopticopter Wrecks to attack the agent.
I do love the last one because you'd just be like, Panopticopter Wrecks, go!
Stay away from Lobstrock!
It's just sort of spinning weird little arms.
I can see you in every direction!
I will attack you psychologically and demotivate you.
I have studied the blade in turn-based RPGs. Their accuracy is relatively higher than most other weapons.
I mean, I think refuse to cooperate. But
Maid says pet Panopticopter Wrecks.
Yes. I
Aw.
don't think Major Rogers is gonna do shit.
Well, no, she's not gonna fucking help
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
I think she's so done with us. She's oh, that's right. It's Major Juliet Rogers.
Oh.
Yeah, she hates us.
Yeah. No, we said no. There's no reason she would help. I guess I want to tell Ellie that the feds are after her, but I don't want to do it while the fed is here. I do kind of like the first option now that I'm looking at it again, though. Are you the good guys or just some guys?
I really told them Panopticopter Wrecks.
I might be going with one. I don't know.
Maid says one.
I can't tell if I think that's role-playing or if I'm just choosing the option that will fuck things up. But I think it's role-playing. I just think that might coincide.
The agent's smile is bitter.
We're just some guys. Fair enough. I just think refuse to cooperate. Honestly,
I'm afraid I can't help you, you say.
You seem to call Ellie quite a bit. Surely you could send a simple text like, wow. Surely you could send a simple text like what I'm suggesting.
Are you suggesting that you listen to my phone conversations, you ask? Because it's illegal to do so without a warrant.
Ellie is a foreign national. We were listening to her end of the conversation and incidentally intercepted yours.
You give the agent your most dubious look. To his credit, the agent begins to look uncomfortable.
Well, let us know if you see her.
He puts on his hat and departs. You breathe a sigh of relief. What will you do now? Ellie's smartphone is probably not going to have strong enough security to provide privacy if the network is tapped. Try to contact Ellie anyway, trying to get the truth without revealing why I'm calling. Try to contact Ellie anyway, I'll be open about why I'm calling. I send Ellie a cryptic message that she'll understand means flee to Canada. Find Ellie and flee the country, or I'd rather not get involved.
I really feel like just call her now and tell her... Like, that's not breaking any laws. It won't make them like you.
No, but then they'll be like, but they're listening to her calls.
That's true.
So they'll be like, oh, she's gonna flee the country. Let's kill her.
I guess 3, but like...
One thing that Lobstrock does understand, and honestly, it is true, no matter how we roleplay him, is tech security. Even if he's a naive moron, he's not going to call them and go, hi Ellie, did you know the feds who are tapping your phones are after you? Wait, why are you mad?
I feel like sending her a message immediately that has a cryptic thing, they'll also be like, well, clearly he's warned her. But I guess if it's cryptic, they won't?
Okay, 4, 3, and... So are you saying 3, or...?
Yeah, I think I'm saying 3.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Waiting on the delay. Now. And go! Recalling that Ellie likes gardening, you look up the language of flowers online, then compose the following email. Dear Ellie, I hope you liked our visit to the gardens last week. Did you notice the oleander? Monkshood is a little unusual, I know, but the nation seems to be going crazy for nasturtiums, and Monkshood likes to live in the same places. If you'd like to go find a pineapple maple leaf to dive in soon, that might be a good way to enjoy the season. Fondly, Lobstrock. You didn't actually go to any gardens last week, so you hope she'll take the hint and read between the lines. Beware a deadly foe is near, is Oleander and Monkshood. The nation is going crazy for nasturtiums. The nation wants victory in battle at any cost, and the Maple Leafs were a little on the nose, but you got frustrated when Wikipedia revealed that all of the official flowers of Canada's provinces bloomed in the United States as well.
Pretty good. Fuck it, maple leaves.
You send the message unencrypted, figuring that encryption would only call attention to the thing. You get no reply until the next day. Made it to the pile of maple leaves. Flew into it, actually, thanks to my new flying car. Dad says they raided his place last night. No way to make that sound flowery. I owe you lots. P.S. The language of flowers varies from source to source, but I know what search engine you use. You smile, glad to know that Ellie is safe. What will you do while the war goes on? We do not have the wealth to do anything to Panopticopter Wrecks to make them look more human, which we wouldn't anyway.
Yeah, that's not worth it.
Panopticopter Wrecks and I wander the city looking for the destitute and we help them, or I will ask Panopticopter Wrecks what Ree wants to do and help him do that.
Ree, it's been a while since we focused on raising Panopticopter Wrecks, which I feel like is one of our biggest goals. Is
Yeah,
to raise
I mean,
Wrecks as
even
a
while the
human,
war
or as a
rages
person.
on, even while the war rages on, we want to make sure that Panopticopter Rex has a normal childhood.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think I would like to help people, Lobstrock. Panopticopter Rex tells you. Worthy enough goal, you think, so you help Panopticopter Rex search the city for people who need help. Each person you meet on the street is unique. The schizophrenic man who stopped taking his medication because he was afraid the government was using it to control his thoughts. The young girl who ran away from home with her dog because she heard her parents were going to put it to sleep. The veteran who lost his arm and simply couldn't imagine any kind of work that didn't require it. The most common thing each person needs is a sympathetic ear, which Panopticopter Rex provides. Her curiosity ends up providing a kind of Socratic therapy. Why did you think the government was controlling your thoughts? Why do you think your parents wouldn't want you back? In many cases, these questions are all that is necessary to cause the questioned person to begin thinking about how to restart a normal life. That's right! Panopticopter Rex is just like Dr. Katz! Now I'm imagining Panopticopter Rex in squiggle vision. Soon you find that Panopticopter Rex's fame precedes Rim. And the people you meet hope to be healed or blessed by Panopticopter Rex's touches alone. +2 fame. Panopticopter Rex then continues the interaction as before, finding some way to help the person, but that happiness at being blessed sometimes seems all that is necessary. Panopticopter Rex gives these people a focus for faith, in an age that has told them not to believe in anything but technology. You begin to see icons of Panopticopter Rex spring up around the city. Panopticopter Rex seems to only think this attention is her due, and begins to play the role of the mystical healer. Bless you, my child, bless you, my child, begins to say. +2 autonomy, +2 grace. Do you encourage Panopticopter Rex to attract these followers? Why, yes, I actively begin to craft a religion around Panopticopter Rex. I call it the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Well, definitely not that now.
No, I tell Panopticopter Rex to avoid creating a cult. Well, I neither encourage nor discourage this behavior, but wait to see where it goes.
Dang it. I really... Like, I want to say 1 for me, but I don't think that's right. I think it's 2.
Oh, golly. Panopticopter Rex, you're convincing people to be anything but agnostic. I don't know about this.
Yeah, that is kind of my feeling, and also, like, there is a practical element of, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this when we might be considered a threat. But I do want in my heart to say 1. I don't think it's correct.
I don't have cinnamon bells right now, maid. I should get some.
Oh, are you all out?
Probably. That's neither here nor there. What did you say? Nothing, maid. It's fine. I need an answer.
I mean, I think I said 2, basically. Just with great regret.
I don't want to see you kill Panopticopter Rex. Either by the government or by a crazed fanatic. I really don't want to see you start fucking all of your followers.
Although I am kind of curious about the mechanics that might be involved.
Perhaps I should look into that further. But until we do, no cults! Please don't do that, you tell Panopticopter Rex. You may think you are just as good as the world's major religions, but these people will be better served by one that stood the test of time.
That's a weird take on what... Okay.
But
fine.
Panopticopter Rex pays you no heed. 2 years into... and neither do her followers. 2 years into the war, in 2028, China moves to attack South Korea, where the United States has one of its biggest bases in Asia. North Korea threatens Japan with nuclear retaliation if they get involved, and they bow out of the conflict, claiming they are constitutionally unable to come to South Korea's defense. As the wave of Chinese robots approaches, power outages suddenly become common across South Korea. Data centers mysteriously malfunction and have all of their CPUs operating at 100%, causing sudden spikes in power consumption that leaves whole cities blacked out. President Iron states that South Korea must finally learn to fend for itself, and the American base there is evacuated. Chinese-occupied South Korea is renamed the Korean Autonomous Region. Then, in a surprise move, the same Chinese forces take North Korea as well. Apparently, their dictator was only being used by the Chinese because he was plausibly crazy enough to launch nuclear weapons. So, they too become part of the Korean Autonomous Region. China promises to utterly dismantle the North Korean government and finally provide food and stability for the people of North Korea. China's invasion force continues to grow exponentially, robots creating more and more robots. A large force of Chinese robots in transports moves up the coast of North Korea and into Russian waters, apparently looking to cross the Bering Strait into Alaska. The ranks swell with Russian mercenaries, veterans of organized crime looking for a bigger fish to run to. A bigger big fish to run to. You were working on Panopticopter Wrecks in your apartment, tightening bolts and replacing a worn-out plastic tendon, when Panopticopter Wrecks looks distant for a moment. I think I have a call for you, Lobstrock, Panopticopter Wrecks says uncertainly. On my Wi-Fi port. You're fairly certain you did not design Panopticopter Wrecks to be able to accept incoming connections. Which port, you say? 80. You're getting a call on your web browser port, you say dubiously. Well, just so, Lobstrock. Well, this can't be good. Well, let's hear it! Forgive me for using this no doubt unsettling medium for communication, Panopticopter Wrecks says. Panopticopter Rex's voice has a British accent, the words slightly slow and careful. Any normal sign of internet communication will have been insecurely encrypted, but your robot's internet connection is always very busy. It's a good dense forest of bits. Who are you? I ask. You may call me Mr. San, Panopticopter Wrecks says. I am contacting you because I believe you are a rational actor. That is the kind of person I like to deal with. I am a representative of the CCP. You want me to help the Chinese side of the war, you say? Indeed, says Mr. Sun. It is a simple matter of numbers. By helping us, you help more of humanity. There are nearly 1.4 billion of us and only 400 million Americans. Neither nation has moral high ground in this war. It began as a failure to understand our problems, I think. But now that it has started, surely it is right to aid the nation with more people. The one that has been more trod upon by the West and is only now recovering. Moreover, we are willing to offer you a tenured position and an ample research stipend at Zhejiang University in exchange for your help. Panopticopter Rex's gaze follows you throughout the speech. You think Mr. Sun can see through the robot's eyes. Turn on Panopticopter Rex's debug mode with my phone to capture the details of the communication? Well, what do you want me to do? Or, I prefer to remain neutral in this war. Thanks anyway.
I think one. As insurance. They're in Panopticopter Wrecks.
Yeah, that's true.
That's scary.
Poor Panopticopter
not okay.
Rex. Even if Panopticopter Rex, even if you are starting a cult, we love you.
Please use my official title.
Lord Panopticopter Rex, but spelled R-E-X. Thank you for spelling it properly. Maid? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Waiting on the delay. With a practice motion, you pull out your smartphone and use a little app to turn on debug mode within Panopticopter Wrecks, so that a packet capture of your interaction with Mr. Sun flows to your server. Lobstrock, the connection is lost, Panopticopter Wrecks says. Mr. Sun has hung up. Panopticopter Wreck's eyes widen for a moment, and Ree suddenly closes her eyes, deep in concentration. Ree shivers for a moment, and then opens her eyes again. Well, what was that about, you ask? I felt I was being commanded to explode, Panopticopter Wrecks says. I think that's what that strange signal was, but I stopped it. Panopticopter Wreck's strong sense of self probably helped him resist the cyber attack, you think? He doesn't do things just because her control signals tell him to. Open up the port again and see if you can trace the attack back to its source. Oh, hang on, I should examine your memory before it gets overwritten to understand the attack. Or, your strength of will is admirable. You've done enough, thank you.
I think too, because that's... I need to make sure this can't happen again.
Well, hold on, I need to add something to my flowchart.
We don't want anything to do with them, so tracking it seems wrong.
You quickly do a core dump of Panopticopter Wreck's working memory and find the exploit the attackers used to get inside. You think fixing it should help Panopticopter Wrecks resist cyber attacks in the future, plus autonomy. The exploitable buffer was also causing some processes to continually crash and restart, so you've also succeeded in making Panopticopter Wrecks a little more efficient and quick to react, plus grace. Your changes appear to be effective because you don't hear from Mr. Sun again. A few days later, while you're in your office looking over some designs for new domestic robots, you get a call from Mark on your smartphone. The video is high resolution, and you can see the bags under his eyes and beard stubble with high fidelity.
I wanted to get your comments for an article.
Mark says.
Remember Major Rogers from the military lab?
Yes, you respond. The Air Force technology recruiter.
She died in an attack on a base in the Aleutians yesterday.
Mark says.
She was performing field tests of Ziegler's robot, Panopticopter Wrecks V, when the Chinese forces attacked. The American robots didn't stand a chance, almost as if they were never designed for fighting.
And?
Well, they weren't, because you designed them that way. This is Ziegler's copy of your robot, Panopticopter Wrecks. A lot of people are calling for his head, but I remember our chat when you were in grad school. You wanted a robot that was better for the military, and you were the one who seemed to want something else. Do you have any comment?
I'm sorry. I wish my robots could have saved Major Rogers. It's not my fault that the military tried to misapply my technology to war. Well, how many people were stationed at the base? Did they all die? How many copies of Panopticopter Wrecks died? I didn't really know Major Rogers, so I fail to see why I should care.
I guess you? But also, are these... Wait, these Panopticopter Wrecks would have had AI, right? I think.
Unclear.
Unclear. For a second I was like, they didn't. And then I was like, no, that was the ones we made at our factory that went bust because we were bad at everything. Then 4, I think. And then we'll get painted as like a callous nerd who only cared about the robots. But that's fine.
Four? Five, four, three, two, one. Waiting on the delay. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum.
$500. You know, it's telling that you didn't ask how many other people died.
Well, the robots are innocent, you say. Well, they should be. They never meant to get involved in this war.
Sure, the same thing could be said of a lot of those teenagers in uniforms.
Well, you briefly continue the interview, but when Mark writes the article, he mentions that the first thing you asked about was the robots and not the people. Makes you come across as a little blinkered. But perhaps the people who read the article will be more likely to consider that robots are people too. Plus autonomy, plus empathy. When China finally attacks the 50 states themselves, their assault comes over the North Pole. A massive flotilla of icebreaker ships equipped with giant buzzsaws carve a straight path through what little ice remains in the Arctic Sea. Giant robot arms pick up and hurl the ice blocks out of the way. Small platoons of robots are left behind at every oil rig and deep mining station they claim along the way. The American bases in Alaska are overwhelmed by wave upon wave of Chinese robots. When the headlines break, the dollar goes into a death spiral as people around the world are selling them for Chinese yuan. Canadian dollars are dropping in value as well, as people speculate that China will invade Canada next. Well, I quickly sell my American dollars at a loss, exchanging for yuan. I quickly convert my currency to Canadian dollars, speculating that China will not invade, or I hold on to my currency.
Two? That one guy told us that he thought it was all just miscommunication and stuff. Why would they invade Canada too?
That's true. Using the knowledge that I have, I would this is the most logical conclusion. You convert your wealth to Canadian dollars. By the time the American aircraft carrier stationed in Hawaii...
We don't have a lot of money anyway. It's kind of academic. Which is my favorite kind of choice.
By the time the American aircraft carriers stationed in Hawaii reach the Aleutian Islands, Chinese ICBM batteries have already been assembled throughout the former state. The Chinese then offer peace, content with their conquest. Your wealth experiences a slight bump as money flows back into Canadian assets, plus wealth. Well, now that the war is over, what will you do? I will develop the algorithms that will end war forever! But we don't have enough grace.
Oh.
I want to build a robot that knows how to love, which we can do. I will begin a rebellion in Alaska, which we can't do. I'm afraid I've done all I can. My time to influence history is past. But what if a robot could love?
Yeah, I mean, that feels like the obvious choice.
Yeah. You're tired of seeing robots used for war. You want to show the world that robots can love as well. Will your companion be male or female?
What? We can't... That's weird to me.
Yeah, no, it is super weird, but again...
It's also weird that we're just immediately building a companion for ourselves.
Well, how else am I supposed to prove it?
That's like not what
How else am I supposed to prove it?
Not really what I expected.
Look! Okay! Look! I've been through enough, haven't I? I tried to do good, and it backfires. I get kicked out of grad school, I try to do good and give Americans back some jobs, and it backfires. I try to stay out of the war, and it backfires. I try to help my friends, and it backfires. Can you just let me have this? Aren't you done ruining my life?
It's time for Lobstrock to get some.
I tried my darndest to be true to myself. And look what it got me! Alone! So, will Lobstrock's companion be male or female?
I don't think I have any particular preference here. Other than that, I feel like we established that robots didn't need gender, but that's not an option.
Correct, it is not an option. Because it's 2009.
Yeah.
And frankly, the idea of even letting letting Panopticopter Wrecks identify under a new set of pronouns was probably quite the brainstorm.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I'd flip a coin. Or roll a dice. That's how we do this.
One odd male, even female. 1.
How did you even get around the gate, GG? Whatever. Hi.
Male it is.
Male it is.
And what will you name him?
Oh. Alexander Jadil and
Mark. Mark, please come back to me.
Mark with a C.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I just looked into Panopticopter Rex's little eyes, and that's all I could think of. I'm sorry. What will we name this last-ditch love interest?
I don't know.
You guys fucked everything up.
Nice.
How about Last Resort? Or why is my life sabotaged? Why are you all so bad at this game?
It's called role-playing. Role-playing. Yeah! Role-playing.
You're going to call your male companion bot Rolf-playing? Well, that's right. Wait, no, that does sound kind of lame. What did I say? Did you say male? I wanted a female companion bot! Is this right?
Yeah.
Are you looking to have a companion with whom you can be romantic? Yeah, that's the idea. No, I simply want a friend who finally understands me.
Okay. It might be 2. I don't know.
You guys made this broken tech boy reject. You figure it out.
I'd like Maid's input.
Maid, please! I don't know, Nutshell. You missed when Lobstrock first met the reporter and was like, "Hello, maybe I can impress it with some of my readings on Marx." So I'm just saying, it's not out of the question. That doesn't mean that he wouldn't decide, I just want a friend who gets me.
Yeah, I feel like...
Or, I just want somebody to hold.
I feel like I just want a friend who gets me, but, like, potentially, we would then move on to romance.
Shit! If only we could go back and change the name! Mark II would have been great!
Oh no, that was right there. Can we really not? Is there no cheat?
No, there's no cheat!
Oh, fuck. Well, I think yes. That does sell me on choice 1.
I'm
in a
sorry.
roundabout way.
I'm gonna wait on any direct input from the audience. I know, Maid. I know that every time we play this game, you demand that the character be Volcel. That's fine. Well, that leaves me at a tie, though, unless Nutshell has a vote. Oin! Alright. Oin it is. You have crafted Rolf Plane to look like your concept of the ideal man. The process of creating this wondrous robot took a lot out of you, but you learned much from the experience. +4 grace. He's truly a masterpiece. Painfully beautiful to look upon. Like a prince charming under a witch's spell, Rolf Plane lies on the floor of your bedroom awaiting your touch to awaken. Chapter 6b, Empathy. It is the year 2034, 5 years after the war with China. Robots that look like human beings have become the new hot technology, albeit one that is still divisive. Some say that if the same technology had been put into robots on the front lines, America would have won the war against China. The years since you created Rolf Plane have been very happy ones for you. You created Rolf Plane to love you unconditionally. And he does. You live in San Francisco, a city of drastic inequalities brought about by the robot tech boom. It's where you need to be for work, but it isn't necessarily the best place for Rolf Plane. You can't believe how much you're spending on this somewhat shabby apartment. Inflation combined with spiraling rents has made every month's rent almost $10,000. Wow, we're getting close. You're scraping by. You have no idea what people who aren't in tech do to survive. You're hanging balloons in your apartment for festivication. A tasting party. No robot you've made until now could taste food, but you've just finished a prototype artificial tongue. It's not the most necessary thing in the world, but you think your robots ought to be able to enjoy food with others. There is something primordial, you think, about the ritual act of sitting down to eat with another person. To eat but not taste seems somehow like an impolite sham. No more. Your robots will taste. Which robots will you try out the tasting sensor at this party? Rolf Plane, Panopticopter Wrecks, or I created 2 prototypes, one for each of my robots. It requires wealth, 1.
Do we have that?
We have wealth, 1.
That? Yeah, both of them.
Obviously, I would give my last dollar to make sure that my robots could both taste.
Yes!
You feel lucky that you managed to survive the aftermath of the war with your funds relatively intact. Though much of your savings became useless, you still make a decent living inventing new technologies and selling the patents to larger companies. Panopticopter Wrecks, the more adventurous of the 2 robots, appears to have tried more taste than Rolf Plane already. Like siblings, they seem to have settled into niches competing for your attention. Rolf Plane now tries to be more human-like, while Panopticopter Wrecks occasionally flaunts her freedom to be strange. Did you try dirt? Panopticopter Wrecks asks Rolf Plane. Reflies behind the younger but taller robot who is putting out plates. Dirt taste? Very interesting. I don't think... You be Rolf Plane.
I don't think people are supposed to eat dirt.
Rolf Plane says uncertainly.
Oh, that wasn't very uncertain. Oops.
Sure they do, Panopticopter Wrecks says. It's called Pika. Or Pica. I don't know. And it helps people get essential vitamins and minerals. I read about it on the internet.
Have you chewed ice?
Rolf Plane gives you a worried look.
Weird. not going to eat dirt tonight, are we?
What kind of foods will you serve to introduce the robots to the wide world of culinary delights? Wine and cheese? Simple, wholesome tastes like fresh bread and fruit? Desserts? I think the robots will appreciate those the most. Or the weirdest stuff I can find. I'm curious to see whether the robots will think of it as normal. And I believe Maid preemptively says 3. Nutshell says 2. I'm sorry, Frank, that a single piece of lettuce isn't... A single lettuce leaf is not here.
How are they gonna be at their best?
Fuck, that sucks.
It really does. Should have named Rolf Echo.
No, anyway.
Victor.
Pick something.
God, I don't know. It's a tricky one to me, actually. I was thinking it over, and then you said a dollhouse thing, and my brain stopped thinking.
Nutshell and Maid have made votes, but they have forced each other into a tie. Would you break the tie or make it worse?
Oh no, Maid's vote for 3 was the previous thing.
Oh, was it? No, that Maid said, oh no, a small plate's robot dinner. Oh, that was for the 2 robots, you're right!
Yeah, 2 times.
No. Damn it, Maid.
Yeah.
Well then, 1 vote for 2. Oh, yeah, for 2 robots, that's right.
I think I go 2 also? That feels like the right start. Wine and cheese is not quite there.
Ralph Plain, I wish to give you... Ralph Plain, I wish to give you a drinking problem. 2 it is. Uh-huh. That's baking bread you smell, you tell the robots. You feel it's best to teach the robots the simple pleasures that all people can enjoy. The better to relate to everyday people, plus do empathy. You bring forth plates of fresh oranges, plums, grapes, and pomegranates. You check on the bread in the oven, your long-nourished sourdough, whose starter you had to tend for weeks as if it were a strange infant, is finally baking alongside a baguette. Oops, that's already done. You take it out. And a crackling rye. There's a shave and a haircut knock at the door. That must be Ellie. You answer it. Ellie has aged gracefully into her late 30s, still cultivating a youthful appearance even as the signs of middle age set in. She's dyed her hair a bright red, but you can see some gray at the roots. The subtle wrinkles at the edge of her eyes make it look like she's smiling slightly. Maybe she is. She hangs her stylish red overcoat, made of the new dirt-repellent fabric, on a coat rack near the door, revealing a black bolero, white on black polka dot skirt, and tall black boots. Ellie now works as a designer for a smart clothing manufacturer. She's very good at making the technological touches subtle. Unlike the in-your-face designs of early wearable internet devices. You have no doubt the coat she just hung up is connected to the internet and has an associated app for finding out its location and the contents of its pockets. You similarly have no doubt Ellie deactivated all that in her own coat. Obviously, I don't want that shit in my clothes.
Yeah, no, that's pretty engineer. For sure.
Under one arm, Ellie is carrying a reusable bag of groceries from the local organic... Well, she's not an engineer. She's the design coordinator that integrates the technology to make it look like clothes and not horrible tech nightmares. Under one arm, Ellie is carrying a reusable bag of groceries from the local organic supermarket. I hope I'm not too late, Ellie says. I brought some veggies and kombucha. Ellie sets the groceries down on the kitchen counter. The groceries are from a chain that seemed to come along with Ellie from Canada after the war. Solar Foods sells only food that has been picked by solar-powered robots. This and a surprising newfound love of hockey are just 2 of the reminders of Ellie's brief exodus in Canada. She seemed to really like the place. Ellie gives a tight smile to Rolf Plain. How are you? Ellie then returns to unpacking groceries.
Fine. How are you?
Good, Ellie says curtly. You think she dislikes Rolf Plain, but you're not sure why. Pull Ellie aside and ask what's wrong. Pull Rolf Plain aside and tell him not to worry about Ellie, or encourage Rolf Plain and Ellie to talk to each other without pulling either aside.
3.
That is how we won her over on Panopticopter Wrecks.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling either Ellie or Rolf Plain aside would probably be somewhat obvious and make one or the other feel excluded. You prefer to get them talking to each other. Can I offer you both some apple juice? You ask. Sure, thanks, Ellie says.
Yes, please.
You pour them all both a glass. Well, Rolf Plain doesn't have much to say but an appreciative...
It's good.
Ellie points out the ways in which this particular apple juice is unique, as she happens to know the couple that makes it locally. When Rolf Plain asks about the details of how it's made, Ellie happily provides them. In the middle of this conversation, Rolf Plain casts an appreciative glance in your direction. He sees what you did there. Plus empathy. The night continues with the robots trying one bread after another and sampling all the fruits in turn. The robots linger especially on a hunk of sourdough, calling out the various subtle notes of the taste they are discovered. Ellie seems to enjoy the evening and has a conversation with the robots about the chemistry of cooking that puts your long-forgotten knowledge of organic chemistry to the test. Rolf Plain is smiling more than you've ever seen since you created him, happy to be partaking of this human ritual, and you're glad your invention is making him happy. Panopticopter Wrecks' comments about food are a bit odd, focusing on the individual elements of each chemical composition, like reading the back of the box for ingredients. You try to explain how each ingredient contributes to the taste, but the individual elements just don't seem to be coalescing into a meaningful whole for Panopticopter Wrecks. You then realize that until this point, memorized ingredients lists and recipes from the internet were all we had to go on to infer what food must taste like. And you suppose it's those individual elements that Panopticopter Wrecks now finds so interesting.
I finally know what 2 milligrams of salt tastes like.
Hooray! It is a dream come true! Soon enough, the food is all gone, and you're left discussing the evening with the robots. Oh, what did you think? You ask.
It's wonderful.
Rolf Plain exclaims. He continues to nibble on an orange slice, apparently trying to make it last as long as possible.
I think I understand so much more about emotions now. I know what it is to be sweet, like an orange, or bitter, like a lemon. Because you fed me a whole lemon. And I ate it.
I'm not entirely sure you've quite got it, Ellie says uncertainly.
But still, it's very much like emotion.
Rolf Plain says.
It's difficult to describe, and powerful, and moves in a way largely unsymbolic. I don't think I've ever had such a primal experience before.
Well, I'm glad it was a positive experience, you say.
I want to learn to cook.
Rolf Plain says, clearly inspired. Of course, you say. You hadn't expected this to be the natural turn of events from tonight, but you suppose it's only a natural extension of Rolf Plain's built-in desire to be helpful. The evening continues pleasantly, with you and Ellie chatting with Rolf Plain and Panopticopter Wrecks about the subtleties of taste over glasses of apple juice until the small hours. On Friday, you go to the local swing club with Rolf Plain. You wait in line to the dance hall, a converted YMCA.
That kind of swing, alright. Thought we were getting a little spicy.
A converted YMCA basketball court behind some women wearing snazzy polka dot skirts and men wearing vests and newsy hats, along with some younger folks, college age maybe, who are probably here for the first time. Judging from the guys' t-shirts, too shabby, and the women's high heels, too impractical. About half of the snappy dressers are robots. You can tell because of the way they stand. A little too straight, but someone who didn't design the balance algorithms probably wouldn't notice. You don't think any of the really young people are robots. It would be surprising, you think, for someone to spend all that money on a robot and not pay to dress it well. You pay admission for you and Rolf Plain. Robots are cheaper than humans, you notice, and enter the dance hall, which they've decorated with fake portholes and life preservers, along with a large banner that says Happy 100th Anniversary! Anything goes! The lights are all up currently, as two robots in the center of the hall have just started a swing dancing lesson. Slow, slow, quick, quick, says the male robot of the pair, demonstrating. Robots and humans in a circle around the instructors try to mirror the steps with varying degrees of success.
I'm not entirely certain why you've brought me here.
Rolf Plain whispers.
Or why everyone is moving like this?
Surely you've looked up swing dancing in your knowledge base before coming, you murmur.
Yes, but its explanations of why are all circular.
Rolf Plain says.
Why do people like to dance?
Well, because it's a way of expressing joy and being alive! Because there's joy in the wordless communication that two dancers share. I imagined it develop a socially acceptable way of assessing sexual chemistry.
I think we know enough about... We took enough, like, sociology classes
Yes.
to know that it's not 3. There are all sorts of, like, old dances that had nothing to do with sexual chemistry.
Oh, but please, my undergrad was in social psychology. So everything's psychosexual. By accident.
Yeah. I think one? But I'm not very... I don't have a strong opinion on this one.
I'm gonna go with one. But why do people not move joyfully all the time? Oh, that's you. That's you!
Yes, it is. But why do people not move joyfully all the time, then?
Rolf Plain asks. Well, I suppose they could, you admit. Notice Mark the reporter in the corner of the dance hall typing away. He's now a little balding and sporting a beard that reminds you of Toby Ziegler from that old show your parents used to watch, The West Wing.
Look that up. Okay.
I do like that he references a character that he also named his horrible... they also named the horrible professor after.
You're right.
And also refers to it as that old show your parents used to watch. He catches your eye and grins.
How's it going, Lobstrock?
Well, you say. Well, what's the story you're currently writing about?
Robot romance.
He says.
What do you think about all the robot couples?
Rolf Plain leans in to attend your answer. Well, I think everyone needs to find their own path to happiness, and that might mean marrying a robot. Well, robots are too subservient to provide real love. A real relationship is give and take. Well, I think you should join us, rotate partners, and find out what it's like for yourself. Well, I think you should dance with me.
And how come your robot looks kind of like me, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's pretty much looks almost exactly
Don't be ridiculous. If I wanted to make you, wouldn't I have named him Mark II? That would have been such a great joke.
But didn't you originally name me Mark II before overwriting it?
What? No? What?
Oh. I saw it in your notebooks, that's all.
No, I did. That wasn't about you. It was about a child I never had.
Wait, you were gonna make like a child name it after me?
I think you should dance with me.
It's definitely not 2. It's so not 2.
Because we created a robot to love.
Yeah. Like, and that's, no, absolutely not.
Whether or not we go through with fucking this robot, we invented it to learn how to love, so we don't think that.
It's either 3 or 4, and I guess that depends on, like, are we willing to try and win Mark back also? Oh, hi, Chai.
Hi, Chai. Um, our friend Lobstrock Ben Parker has had his life ruined by everybody here. Uh, and now, and now, we've created a robot to learn how to love. But an old flame has reappeared. Do we dance with him? Or do we just try to open his mind a little?
Yeah, the old flame is a reporter. Hey, we
Chai
started...
says yes, we dance.
We dance.
We dance.
Well, okay.
Mark raises his eyebrows at this, intrigued.
Really?
Rolf Plain looks somewhat put out by your invitation.
But what about me?
Well, I'll dance with you later, you say.
I accept your invitation.
Mark says with a grin. Over the course of the dance lesson, you end up being instructed to rotate partners a fair amount. Dancing... You don't say, Chai! How strange. Yeah, no, we didn't do that.
Yeah.
In fact, we invited him to the U.S. Army the tech death demo, so that he could report on it.
We've been like...
But these losers decided to be all snarky and try to show up the professor, which just made everything suck.
No, we didn't, Chai.
No, we didn't. They invite you anyway. Oh, you don't say, Chai, I'm shocked. The thing is that USA invites you anyway, regardless of what you've done, and you have and you get pulled aside and they try to force you to. And you're like, no. Well, we said no. Because so far, Lobstrock has tried and failed at every robot business endeavor that he put his heart into. Mostly because of the bad decisions of these people. And has had every single romantic interest bounce out of his life because everybody here is impossibly bad at this game.
First you say you need to roleplay, then you're like, oh, you're bad at the game.
Reporter Mark we did show romantic interest in Mark early on, and then we
lived with him for a little bit.
And we fucking dropped the ball at the end. So we've been
He's a what could have been to us.
Yeah, and in an act of desperation, we created the robot that can learn to love. After literally everything fell through. We spent our only wealth that we only got by transferring our US dollars into Canadian dollars, and spent it on making 2 robot tongues for our robots. Yeah, no, we stayed neutral during the war. You don't say, Chai!
Lobstrock is so against robots being military.
Yeah, no, Lobstrock, we decided very early on, Lobstrock is a sort of like a lefty thinking type engineer, but in the sense that he has a flowchart of what the correct way to communism is, and he's like, obviously we have to just work together, and oh no, why was I betrayed again? Oh, jeez! Actually, we didn't. We got kicked out.
Yeah, we did not graduate because we didn't work with our professor, basically.
Yeah, no, Chai, when I say they have messed up everything, I mean they have messed up everything. Oh no, he does suck, but they even fucked up showing him up.
Yep. Yeah, because it's what Lobstrock would do.
Oh, it's been great. Yeah, no, we've got a real loser on our hands. Over the course of the dance lesson, you end up being instructed to rotate partners a fair amount, dancing with both robots and humans. The flesh and blood dancers are a mixed bag. You get the impression some of them have never danced before in their lives, while others seem practiced and must come every week. You yourself danced plenty back at MIT, but that was almost 20 years ago now, and you welcome the refresher. No, we didn't. I loved... I mean, I don't know about you, but I loved dancing. I love dancing to my Vocaloid music videos. What's a VTuber?
I could do all the moves along with Miku.
Though most of the dancers must be in their 20s, they seem like babies to you. You find it hard to believe you were their age when you learned. You certainly didn't feel young then. You've never been young, Lobstrock. Are you learning the leader's part or the follower's part? Ben traditionally danced the leader's part, but this has become more fluid over the years.
Lobstrock's all about making sure everybody else is on even footing and having a good time. And making sure that nobody feels slighted.
You can lead, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
The robots you dance with tend to be male. These dance partners seem very popular with the ladies, and you can see why. They are wildly creative, making up moves on the spot that involve spinning and tossing you about. Yet there's a certainty in their movements that make them very easy to follow. As for the robot's grace, you find that they are a pleasure to behold. All their spins and turns seem absolutely lovely when they work up the courage to do them. Over the course of the lesson, you relearn the basic step, how to do underarm and overarm turns, how to spin out, and a complicated move called the sweetheart, in which you end up with your partner's arms around you. At the end of the lesson, you return to Mark for the dance proper. The lights in the hall dim, and you get to business dancing with Mark in earnest. Mark proves to be an excellent leader, and you have no trouble following the moves. Just then, you notice Rolf Plane approaching.
Uh-oh.
Mark says.
I think your robot found us.
You?
Lobstrock, may I have this next dance?
Rolf Plane asks. Mark frowns in your direction.
Oh, no.
I ask whether Rolf Plane knows how to dance. I'll have the next dance with Rolf Plane. I tell Rolf Plane to go home. I suggest Rolf Plane dance with someone else.
We made this robot to love us. We can't. But Mark,
he's back in our lives. We didn't think it would happen.
Lobstrock is short for rock lobster? If I remember correctly. We combined a lot of suggestions for the name.
I try. Oh, so true.
Is that how love works, Chai? You... Mark's
No, Mark is the one who came back into our lives. The robot we made.
The robot we made specifically to love us. I just want to have both of you and Panopticopter Wrecks in my life.
Yeah, that's well. Sometimes love is about hard choices.
I think the next dance with Rolf Plane. We'd feel an obligation, if nothing else.
Excuse me. You apologetically say to Mark.
Okay then. I'll find someone else to dance with.
Mark stalks off. You join hands with Rolf Plane, wait for the beat, and begin to dance. You find he is as graceful as you could have wished in your designs. For a time, the two of you just dance. There's a lot of Cole Porter tonight, night and day, then Love for Sale. It must be because of the Anything Goes anniversary. Do you want to be a couple? Oh, no, that's you.
Do you want to be a couple?
Rolf Plane says suddenly.
With me?
I think we are. Oh, no, there are good reasons we shouldn't be together.
I mean, it is weird that I made you. I feel like that's a problem. I don't like that aspect of it.
Oh, Chai! That's not the reason! It can't be the reason! That's so mean! Jesus!
I think we are a couple.
Are we?
I don't know. I thought we were.
How do we feel about it now?
I don't know.
Mark's back. All of a sudden, we're like, wait, didn't I make you?
Didn't I make you? Isn't that kind of weird? Am I like your dad?
Never mind. Mark hates us now anyway.
Yeah, GG. Or don't go outside. That's cool too.
You know, brushing off... Oh no, Mark doesn't hate us. It's still good. Josh is bad. Sorry, I get Josh and Mark's name mixed up because Josh and Mark are, well, very plain names.
Yeah.
So he's still good with us, but he was very good, and he's gone down.
Whoops.
Well, like I said, they've all been doing pretty badly at most things.
Like, we shouldn't be that good with Josh, but...
But, again, no, Josh has remained neutral just by the fact that we haven't talked to him.
We just have... No one in the stream has ever wanted to interact with Josh. Has never done so willingly.
So, this is a moment of twaff. Do we want to be a couple with Rolf Plane, the robot that we built to fuck? Or do we think it would be better to teach him to love, but not us?
Maybe the second one. Should learn to be your own person. We've been pretty consistent in autonomy.
Rolf, in a moment of weakness, I made you to fuck me. But that wasn't right. You should learn how to fuck whoever you want.
Yes. Like what?
I made you. Oh, we did made. You didn't have anything to say about it. Or maybe you did. No, you wanted him to be Volcel. That's right. You always want them to be Volcel. Oh, I made you, you say? That makes me more like a parent. I have responsibilities toward you.
I have responsibilities toward you.
Rolf Plane insists. Not the same at all, you say. You can tell Rolf Plane is disappointed, but you're really certain you're right.
Thank you, Chai. It's true.
I'm not a great romancer, I know when you're about to answer. When I propose anything goes. Da-da-da. The lights go up, the dancers clap, and you realize that was the last song for the night. So you blew off Mark for the last song. You blew off Mark for the last song to tell Rolf Plane you will not fuck him.
That's so Lobstrock. Like, it couldn't be more Lobstrock.
You head home with Rolf Plane and Mark, but say little to each other on the drive home. It's well into the evening, and Rolf Plane is holding aside a curtain to look out the window at the bright lights of the city.
You know what I've never done?
Rolf Plane says.
Stargazing. I've been out in the evening so little, and the few times I did go out, I didn't think to look up.
He drops the curtain and looks back at you.
Would you go with me to the park? It's technically closed after sundown, but people online say nobody checks.
You consider that it may be good to allow Panopticopter Wrecks and Rolf Plane to build a friendship instead, so they aren't so dependent on you. Panopticopter Wrecks has been a little starved for attention since you build Rolf Plane. I will go to the park with Plane to stargaze. I suggest Panopticopter Wrecks go stargazing with Roleplane instead.
I think it's 2. That's very unambiguously yeah.
If we have any dire objections, I will allow them, but 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, waiting on the delay. Panopticopter Wrecks! You call to the robot's room. Panopticopter Wrecks peeks her panopticoptic head around the corner. Could you escort Roleplane to the park? He wants to go stargazing. Of course, Lobstrock, Panopticopter Wrecks says, excited for the chance to prove himself.
But
Roleplane looks back at you. You two should go, you say. I want to stay here and get some work done on some motor control algorithms for surgeon bots. +2 grace.
yes, Lobstrock.
Roleplane says, disappointed. I personally like running an app for sharpening images while I'm looking at the night sky, Panopticopter Wrecks is telling Roleplane, who is still looking over his shoulder at you. There's not a lot of light, and you can see much more that way. We may as well take advantage of the differences between us and humans, right?
Right.
Roleplane says. The two of them leave. You think it's probably good that the robots are learning to rely on each other instead of you. Friendships between equals are just as important in life as romance, +2 empathy. Later that night, the two robots come back very damaged. There is severe damage on the joints in Panopticopter Wrecks' T-Rex arms, with the plastic tendons snapped in places, and Roleplane has a large chunk of his skull bashed in, exposing chips underneath that occasionally spark. Well, what happened? You asked. Oh, we got jumped, Panopticopter Wrecks says. They had 2x4s and knives, and they said we needed to stop replacing humans. Oh dear, you say. Well, let's see if I can get you fixed up. You say, in order to... I can order the parts tonight. You examine the damage. It looks like Roleplane needs some repairs to his artificial prefrontal cortex where long-term planning and impulse control happens. But Panopticopter Wrecks' T-Rex arms are also in fairly bad shape.
Fuck.
I'll pay for the repairs to Panopticopter Wrecks. Something we can't do. Something we can't do, or I can't afford to repair the robots.
That's brutal. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Well,
Rolf. We're poor. And you're expensive. I mean, pay for the stuff we can, I guess.
The parts you need to repair Panopticopter Wrecks are less expensive than the ones you need for Roleplane. You built Rim as a poor graduate student, after all, minus wealth. Thank you, Lobstrock, Panopticopter Wrecks says. You're very welcome, you say. Over the next few weeks, Roleplane seems to get angry more often, slamming doors and breaking glasses. But you can't tell whether the anger is justified anger at the world or a condition resulting from his damage. Maybe both. 15 years later, you find yourself in Surprise, Arizona, walking up to your mother's house. A few of the cacti in the front have Santa hats on them. It's the year 2049, and you're about to surprise your mother with a present for the holidays. She's finally been released from the hospital after surgery, performed by robots of your design, and you're proud to note, and is living on her own in her retirement community. The houses in Surprise are shabby, and trash litters the streets. The United States is still recovering from the loss of the Sino-American War 20 years ago. This retirement community is full of people like your mother who lost their jobs in the war, or a little before and never got them back. What'd you get, Mom? A robot cat? A robot dog? A new 3D mail printer so she can send and receive objects over the internet? Or something we can't do?
The printer?
Mom continues to send cards in the mail the old-fashioned way, when they could just as easily be replicated on the spot with a mail printer. This one is also pretty good at printing baked cookies, according to the reviews online, although toffee chips still gum up the works. You knock on Mom's front door. Coming. Oh no, you were Mom, actually.
Oh gosh, was
Yeah,
long ago,
you
'cause-
read her Shakespeare or whatever.
Yes. Coming. I don't remember what voice I used, but
You hear her call from inside. When Mom answers the door, you see her left eye is synthetic. Though it is intended to look as human-like as possible, it looks dry, and its movements are just not quite as fast as those of a human eye. She had been going blind in that eye, and had opted to have it replaced shortly after her tumor was taken out. The hair near the site of her original surgery is a little dry and thin, and it's all gray. Your mother's very old. She smiles when she sees you and gives you a hug, which you return.
come in, come in.
Inside, you find your mother cleaning robots, still busily puttering about the house, cleaning up. They look like cute little cats and mice, designed to move as if one is prowling after the other, when in fact the mouse is proactively stealing away the larger crumbs before the cat vacuums. They were Ellie's original design. She's now working as a product designer for a robot company in Canada. You hope she's doing well. Photos of you and Panopticopter Wrecks hang in the living room. Following your gaze, Mom says,
Can you believe that photo was taken 20 years ago? It seems just like yesterday.
while it bothered you when you were young that Mom seemed perpetually caught in the past, her comments about it now make sense to you. 15 years ago does seem like just yesterday. You're catching up to Mom's perspective on time, and it's a little frightening. You notice a book on the kitchen counter, The Robotic Path to Enlightenment by Tammy Cooper. Are you reading that? You ask Mom hesitantly.
I've read it a few times now. It's very insightful.
You flip through the book. It advises seeking the robot mind, in which you set aside the things that trouble you and try looking at the problems from a vantage that is both childlike and analytical, questioning everything. It gives several examples from Panopticopter Wrecks' own life. Do you seek the robot mind, Mom? Mom smiles.
Yes, I find it helps when my arthritis kicks in.
Ouch! I'm sorry to hear that. Mom shakes her head.
It's fine. Those really are useful tips.
Oh, whatever happened to this cult? Well, they continue to operate underground, or Panopticopter Wrecks expanded them and told them all to find some real religions.
I don't think Panopticopter Wrecks would disband them.
No. And we don't
I
have
don't
the
know.
gumption to make him.
No. And yeah, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't tell
I guess I
Panopticopter-
failed at everything else. I may as well let you have your cult.
And I think Panopticopter Wrecks was probably just like, we, a cult, what a fun experience.
Hooray! So
All these
many
people-
people think that I have really good advice. I am so happy to be helping them. Look,
And they make up
Lobstrock,
weird
I helped
stories.
your mother. Your mother thinks arthritis. Your mother has better opinions about her arthritis now. Isn't that great? I guess so. The followers of Panopticopter Wrecks continue to operate in secret, and though you haven't done very much to help their cause, you find that a worship of you and Panopticopter Wrecks has resulted in all kinds of little perks over the years. From free coffee at the local coffee shop to fame in the indie music community because of the many references to you and the lyrics of religious electronica. Plus wealth and plus 2 fame. It occurs to you looking through all of this stuff with Mom that the whole time you were concerned about the future of your creation, Panopticopter Wrecks, Mom was excited for you in the same way. You were her creation, miraculously walking about on the earth, so full of intelligence, accomplishing great things. And then we happened.
I have something for you too.
Mom says. She goes into her closet and fetches a brand new mini-me robot kit. It's a robot construction kit composed of little arms and wheels that plugs into a smartphone. You examine it skeptically, convinced Mom would have gotten something on sale that only worked with smartphones from 20 years ago. But it looks new.
It's for Panopticopter Wrecks.
Mom says.
Ree said Ree was interested in building a robot.
You talk to Panopticopter Wrecks?
All the time!
Mom says.
We've always been very curious about each other.
Huh, you say. Well, if I know Panopticopter Wrecks, Ree probably has something more ambitious in mind, but maybe I'll give this to the robot remakes.
I suppose Panopticopter Wrecks is more like a robot parent.
Mom says.
Robots are such interesting creatures.
Well, anyway, I've got to fly back now, you say. Happy holidays, Mom! You hug your mother, present the mail printer. She loves it, but you think she wouldn't let you know if she didn't. And says your goodbyes. Later that day, you set out for home. Your car navigates the twists and turns of your mother's old neighborhood by itself as it heads for the local airfield. You recall in your youth that you had some notion you might make cars intelligent enough to hold a conversation. Now you're a little sad you never got around to it. Though the technology does exist, you find the inferior AIs installed by car manufacturers irritating, and bought a car without the feature. You pull out a tablet and begin to read the newspaper as your car does its work silently and efficiently. Top headlines these days are all about China, 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 engaging in skirmishes in the Pacific and Indian Oceans, flouting the ineffectual mandates of the United Nations, building factories overseas. It's nothing serious, merely a new superpower flexing its muscles. You suppose this is what it must have been like to grow up somewhere that wasn't the United States, though you suppose you'll never know. You feel the lurch of acceleration, and you know without looking up that you are airborne. Where did you, Rolf Plane, and Panopticopter Wrecks decide to spend the rest of your days? Well, Cambridge, Massachusetts. I still have fond memories of going to MIT. Well, Palo Alto, where I went to grad school. I love seeing what the young people are working hard to create every day. Well, we decided to move to the small town of Hope in Canada. Well, we remained in Detroit, where the factory was. Vancouver. We decided not to stay in the United States after the war. We decided to move with Chai.
Cambridge, Massachusetts should be like requires wealth 5. Can't do that one.
Well, I live in the shell of Rolf Plane. I hollowed him out.
Oh. It
Yeah,
is fine. At least I can be of use. The one I love.
So?
God, staying in Detroit with your abandoned factory is so sad.
With your abandoned factory, with the robot you programmed to fuck you that you rejected, and your other robot who was constantly rejected by the world around it but started a cult anyway.
God.
And nothing else.
Gigi, stop attacking the hinge. I already opened the door for you.
But the hinge.
The hinge. I feel like 2. This is my guess, but I don't. It's not a strong vote.
Hey, maid!
Hey, maid!
Hey, maid! I can just put it to the dice if you don't really care.
I care some, I guess. I'm just unsure.
Well, tell me whether to roll or not.
I think I vote 2.
Okay. Palo Alto has done well since the robot boom. The streets are full of the latest models of biodiesel electric hybrid flying cars. The hologram billboards advertise ever more outlandish perks for employees willing to jump ship for a different company. To your surprise, the current boom appears to be not in robots, but genetic engineering technology. Though besides gene working its way into all of the startup names, you have little idea what all of these startups do exactly. Make beautiful people smile, you guess, judging from the advertisements. You feel lucky that when you were of an age to decide what to do, your passion was in the right place at the right time. It's dark out by the time you make it home. Winter always catches you by surprise that way. You live in a humble condo that you purchased some years back. It's nice to have something you can call your own, even if the condo association doesn't see it that way. Rolf Plain glides by carrying a tray of little bacon-wrapped dates.
For you, Lobstrock.
Well, thank you. You take one and the robot returns to the kitchen to make more amuse-bouches. Well, that never gets old, you think. You peek into Panopticopter Wrecks' room. He's busy trying to construct what looks like a small version of himself. So intent is Panopticopter Wrecks that when you say, "Hi, Panopticopter Wrecks," practically jumps. "Oh, Lobstrock! You returned!" Panopticopter Wrecks says, and re-greets you with a hug. "You're creating... a child?" you ask tentatively. Panopticopter Wrecks nods. "I recalled my early days when you were still explaining the world to me," Ree says, "and I came to the conclusion that to really understand the world, one must try explaining it to another." "Well, I'm not sure I understand it better," you say, "but I think it does force me to think about it. Maybe that's the path to understanding." "Indeed," Panopticopter Wrecks says, as if this obviously were the logical conclusion of what Ree was saying. It takes a moment to realize something's not right. It's like the opposite of a headache. Well, you missed us, completely fuck up again.
Yep.
And we sent our robots out to be assaulted by anti-robot assholes in the park. And then when they came back, we had enough money to repair Panopticopter Wrecks and not our love robot, whose cybernetic frontal lobe thingy had been damaged. It takes a moment to realize something's not right. It's like the opposite of a headache. Your head feels a little too light. You can't see very well. You're not sure when you stop seeing very well. But when you think about it, you realize you can't really see Panopticopter Wrecks in front of you. There's also a roaring in your ears, like static. Was I a robot all this time? You think absently. Maybe that explains everything. Lobstrock? Panopticopter Wrecks asks. "What's wrong? You look pale." You realize that now you can't see anything. You only hear Panopticopter Wrecks' voice. "This is what it's like not to see," you think distantly. "It's not black. It's not anything." "Help!" you say faintly. You're sitting on a cliff next to the sea. Rolf Plain is sitting next to you, as he was when you first met him in a dream many years ago.
Oh, I told you it would take a lot out of you.
Rolf Plain says.
I hope it was what you wanted.
It's okay, Rolf Plain. You're everything I dreamed. I'm just happy to be your friend. I'm sorry I wasn't prepared to take responsibility for you.
Definitely 2 or 3.
Yeah, we tried to be clear. We forcibly left this poor robot learning to love brain damaged because we are such a fuck up.
We don't know it was brain damaged because we didn't have the money to try and repair it.
We knew that his prefrontal cortex manipulator whatever thing was not functioning properly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it might still be B.
I'm just happy to be your friend. Rolf Plain looks hurt, but manages a grin.
Thanks.
You sit in what you hope is companionable silence, but then you notice motion out in the corner of your eye. Rolfplane is ever so subtly leaning over the cliff towards the water. Wait! You cry, and you grab Rolfplane's wrist just as he tumbles over the edge. His weight yanks you over, and you find yourself tumbling to the water as well. You awaken in a hospital room. A small garden at the windowsill, probably tended by the robot nurses, lends a floral scent to the room. The paintings on the wall are Thomas Kincaid-like lighthouses and pastoral scenes, no doubt calculated to have the most positive effect on the average patient's feelings.
I know.
Lobstrock, you're awake! Panopticopter Wrecks flies up to your side. I was so worried. Your doctor, a woman in her 40s with slicked back black hair, smiles. Good morning, Mr. Ben Parker. She removes the neticle from her eye, powers it down so the little windows and numbers reflected in its glass blink off, and slips it into the pocket of her white lab coat. Why don't you tell me what happened? I have some guesses from your scans, but I want to hear you tell it. You tell the doctor briefly about how you passed out back at your condo. I wanted to help, but I wasn't sure what the problem was, Panopticopter Wrecks tells the doctor. You hesitate because you can still recall your dream, but it seems very personal and not necessarily relevant. I had a dream. A familiar one. You shake your head. Well, then I woke up here. Well, I don't mean to alarm you, but you've had a stroke. The doctor says gently. A stroke? You say in disbelief. I'm not that old. I'm hardly past 50. I'm afraid the news gets worse, the doctor says. You carry a newly identified genetic disorder called Algernon's disease. You have too many of the genes that promote neural branching and glucose consumption, which at a certain point becomes harmful. Well, harmful how, you ask? That just seems to be a recipe for increased intelligence. It is, the doctor says. There have only been a handful of other cases, and they all became wealthy entrepreneurs and inventors, one of whom funded the research that led to our understanding of the disease. But starting at the age of 50 or so, or occasionally earlier if you're under a great deal of stress, Algernon's victims get seizures or strokes, often accompanied by hallucinatory visions. Under a great deal of stress. Could your first dream about the robot companion, have been one of these episodes? You'd stayed up all night, so you'd assumed you simply passed out from exhaustion. What if it were one of these episodes? But was there anything I could have done? Is there anything I can do now? There's nothing you did wrong, the doctor says gently. I know it must seem as if it's your fault somehow, but nobody gets to keep on living forever just because they've made the right choices. Everybody dies of something. I just wish it didn't have to come so soon, you say. The doctor says, well, it may not have to. I've looked at your scans. Surgery is an option. We can either try to excise the neurons that are acting up without replacement, or try to replace them with an artificial neural network. So I'd be part AI, you say speculatively. That sounds interesting. Yay! Panopticopter Wrecks says. You should be aware that most patients report a side effect of loss of emotional affect, the doctor says. The pattern recognition of the damaged tissue would be there, but without the full suite of neurotransmitters, some of the emotional signals running around your brain would find their lines cut. The doctor looks very serious for a moment. Also, I don't want to downplay the very real chance that you could die in surgery. A slip of the needle could trigger a final epileptic response and death. Of course, it's all done with robots these days, but you may or may not find that reassuring. You do find that reassuring, actually. You spend a fair amount of your life perfecting robot control algorithms, though you've never been asked to bet your life on them before. And if I don't have the surgery at all? You ask. The doctor shrugs. You could have 6 months, or 6 years. Well, I don't trust our surgery technology. I prefer to live my life normally and take what comes. I will undergo the surgery to remove the damaged tissue. I will undergo the surgery to replace that part of my brain with a robot core. I will will create a robot body and brain for myself. I'm not attached to this squishy meat. I will ascend!
Is that... it's
I
3 or
have
4.
nothing left!
It's definitely 3 or 4, and I'm leaning 4.
Please, let me just spend eternity with Panopticopter Wrecks. The only good thing I've created.
Yes, that's true.